Darth Sion is one of the strangest and most disturbing figures in the Star Wars universe. He is not a strategist, he is not a schemer, he has no interest in politics or empire building or grand philosophical arguments about the nature of the Force. He is simply a body that will not die because it refuses to. His power is not lightning or telekinesis or visions of the future. His power is endurance. He can be killed over and each time he rises again, held together by pain and hatred and the dark side. He is, in the most literal possible sense, a man who has chosen suffering over death. This is the story of what happens when nothing stops him. Sin's origins are murky, as the Sith tend to prefer. What we know is that he emerged from the wreckage of the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War, two conflicts that shattered the Old Republic and left tens of thousands of Force-sensitive casualties scattered across the galaxy. Sin was one of those casualties. He died in battle multiple times, probably, but the dark side offered him something, a way to refuse that death. Every wound he sustained could be absorbed into fuel if he simply chose to feel it rather than escape from it. Pain became power, death became optional. By the time of KOTOR 2, Sin's body is a collection of broken, yellowed bone and cracked stone like flesh held in place by pure dark side energy. He should not be able to stand. The fact that he does is not a medical mystery, it is a philosophical statement. He has chosen this. Every moment of his existence is a choice to keep suffering. After the Jedi Civil War, Darth Sion assembled two students she believed could end the Jedi Order permanently. Darth Nihilus, the Lord of Hunger, who consumed entire worlds of Force energy and left nothing behind, and Darth Sion, the Lord of Pain, who could not be killed and who hunted Jedi with methodical, relentless fury. The triumvirate functioned like a blade with three edges. Tri was the mind, the philosophy, the plan, the long game. Nihilus was the apocalyptic weapon, slow, unstoppable, but uncontrollable. And Sin was the execution, the hand that actually found and killed what needed to be killed. To understand why Sin winning is so significant, you need to understand what he actually is. He is not just hard to kill, he is effectively unkillable by conventional means. Jedi and Republic soldiers who faced him in the years before KOTOR 2 found that blasters did nothing, lightsaber wounds closed, and death simply did not stick. The only way to kill Sin is to make him want to die. This is what the canonical Mitra Surik does in their confrontation on Millicurvi. She doesn't overpower him, she's not strong enough. She talks to him, she finds the part of him that is still human, still capable of exhaustion, and she helps him let go. He chooses to die. This is the critical vulnerability. Sin's body can survive anything, his will cannot if someone can reach it. In the canonical ending, Surik does. She touches something in him that was buried under decades of hatred and agony, and she gives him permission to stop, and he takes it. In KOTOR 2, the exile reaches Millicurvi and fights Sin in the ruins of the Sith Academy there. The fight is not really a fight, it is a conversation with violence punctuating it. Sin rises again, and each time, the exile offers him something, recognition, someone who sees what he is, someone who does not flinch. The canonical Surik finds the right words. She acknowledges his suffering without mocking it. She tells him that what he has endured is real, that his pain is not weakness, and that he does not have to keep choosing it. And Sin, the unkillable monster who has murdered dozens of Jedi, kneels down and dies. It is one of the most unexpectedly moving moments in Star Wars gaming. A creature defined entirely by its refusal to feel anything but agony, choosing in the end to feel something else, peace, for just long enough to die. But what if Sin hears the exile's words and rejects them? What if, in that moment of offered grace, something in him pulls back? What if the habit of suffering is simply too ingrained, and the idea of peace feels more threatening than the idea of more pain? It would not require a dramatic choice, just one word instead of surrender, just the decision to keep hating, to keep refusing, to stand up one more time. Sin has been making that choice for decades. Making it once more, against someone offering him an exit, would not be out of character. It might be the most in-character thing he could do. So he stands, he looks at Surik, and he says in whatever words he uses, or no words at all, no, not yet, perhaps not ever, and then he kills her. With Mitra Surik dead on Milikurvi, the last serious threat to the Sith triumvirate is eliminated. Surik was not just powerful in combat, she was the one person in the galaxy who had the specific nature required to counter what the triumvirate represented. A wound in the Force that gave rather than took, that possibility dies with her. Sin does not celebrate. He does not feel triumph in any way that most beings would recognize. He feels the absence of resistance, a familiar sensation. He has killed Jedi before, many of them. He turns from the body and moves on to the next task. The next task is the remaining Jedi Masters. There are only a handful left at this point, survivors of the Purge who have been hiding across the galaxy, slowly, painfully trying to rebuild some connection to the Force. Without Surik to rally them or provide cover, they are isolated, and Sin is very good at finding isolated Jedi. Vruklamar, cantankerous and stubborn and full of contempt for those he deemed weak, Sin finds him on Dantooine, where the farmer refugees are trying to rebuild what the Sith devastated. Vruk dies fighting, which is probably what he would have wanted, but he dies alone, and no one comes to take his place. KOTOR, who served in the Mandalorian Wars and understood the terrible weight of those choices, and finds him on Onderon, still tied to the political complexities of that world. He is trying to guide Queen Talia toward stability. The warning never reaches her. The Jedi presence on Onderon ends quietly, with no fanfare. Zez-Kyle, who had chosen exile on Narshah out of guilt and sorrow, walks through the crowded chaos of that moon like a plague moving through still water, and Zez-Kai does not run. He had given up running. He had been waiting for something, though perhaps not this. He fights. He falls. With the last Jedi Masters dead, there is no longer anyone capable of training new Jedi. This is the critical moment, not just a military victory, but a structural one. The Jedi Order does not end when the last Jedi dies. It ends when the last Jedi Master who could teach a new generation dies. That moment has arrived. Force-sensitive children are still being born throughout the galaxy. They will continue to be born, but with no one to find them, no one to teach them, no tradition to transmit. They will live and die as unusually intuitive people who never understand what they were. The spark does not go out. It simply fails to be handed on. Darth Sion had wanted to use Milikurvi to deliver a killing blow to the Force itself, a wound so vast it would echo through the Force nexus and sever the galaxy's connection to it permanently. In the canonical timeline, the exile disrupts this. In this timeline, no one disrupts it. Sion completes the ritual at Milikurvi. The echoes spread outward through the Force like ripples from a stone dropped in still water. Force-sensitive beings across the galaxy feel something change, a subtle dimming, as if a light source that had always been there has been turned down slightly. They do not know what it means, but it has begun. Sion does not survive the ritual. She intended this. Her plan was never about personal survival. It was about a philosophical argument she had been making for decades, rendered in the only language she believed anyone would listen to: destruction. She dies on Milikur, satisfied that she was right. With Tri gone, the triumvirate becomes a duality, which in Sith tradition means war. Nihilus has been consuming worlds at a pace that makes Republic strategists scream at each other in Senate chambers. He is not interested in ruling what he consumes, he is interested only in consumption. He is, in this sense, not a Sith but a force of nature. Sin watches Nihilus with the same flat attention. He gives everything. He does not hunger the way Nihilus does. His relationship with the dark side is different, not appetite but endurance. He and Nihilus are fundamentally incompatible, not because of ideology but because of nature. One devours, one refuses to be devoured. The conflict between them is not a lightsaber duel. It could not be. Nihilus would drain Sin's force connection, and Sin's body would begin to fall apart. But Sin has something Nihilus does not: a will, a self. Nihilus is pure hunger with no purpose behind it. He cannot make plans, he cannot adapt, and Sin, despite everything, can. Sin boards the Ravager, Nihilus's flagship, a ship held together by the same dark side energy that holds Sin himself together. The irony is not lost on Sin. If Sin is capable of perceiving irony, two broken things, each impossible by normal physics, meeting in a place that should not exist. What Sin does to Nihilus is not a conventional killing. He does not land a decisive blow. He simply endures every attempt Nihilus makes to drain him. Sin converts to pain and uses it as fuel. He is the perfect counter to a being defined by consumption, someone who cannot be diminished because he is already operating at maximum possible damage. Nihilus eventually collapses. His mask falls. There is nothing behind it. There has not been for a long time. Sin looks down at what remains of the Lord of Hunger and feels nothing in particular. He has felt worse. He leaves the Ravager and finds that the galaxy is suddenly his. Sin has no interest in ruling. This is the thing that makes him so confounding as a political reality. Every galactic power structure that has ever existed has been built around someone who wants something: territory, resources, worship, legacy. Sin does not want any of these things. He wants pain. He already has that. What he does instead of ruling is wonder. He moves through Sith space like a geological event, slow, inevitable, unresponsive to negotiation. Planets that resist him are destroyed not because he wants to make an example, but because destruction is simply what happens when Sin encounters resistance. It is not strategy, it is physics. The Republic, which has been attempting to recover from the devastation of 2 civil wars, finds itself unable to engage with this new threat on any level that makes sense. Diplomacy requires someone who wants something you can offer. Military force requires an enemy who can be killed. Sin is neither. Here is what victory means for Darth Sion. Nothing changes. He is still in agony. He will always be in agony. The Jedi who might have given him an exit from that agony are all dead now. The one person who offered him something genuine, not power, not alliance, but recognition, he killed. He won. And the winning has not changed a single thing about what he is. There is a reading of Sin's story that is not about the Sith at all. It is about a person so traumatized that they have confused survival with strength and endurance with purpose. He keeps going because stopping is the only alternative he was ever offered, and stopping felt like a feat in a universe where no one ever taught him how to exist without agony. He made agony into identity. Winning for Darth Sion means a galaxy full of people who cannot threaten him. It also means a galaxy full of people who cannot reach him. He is the last of his kind, now the last being in the galaxy defined by the Sith triumvirate. He will walk through it for centuries, perhaps longer, waiting for something he does not know the name of.